All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Self Published Success, where we highlight the forward thinkers who choose self publishing over traditional and find success in doing so. My name is John Feldman, founder and CEO of Visionary Literary, and your host for today's show. Our guest today is Bruce Goodmansen. Bruce was allowed to take the master's program of instructional science as an undergraduate. Upon graduation, he created and served as president of Thanks American Press, which served to generate training programs for companies. He then created Fire Up the Soul LLC, a company that produces motivational products such as God is My Guide Compass. His first book, The Official Snipe Hunting Field Guide, was a bestseller. He then authored For Parents Who Give a Damn, and his new book is entitled 100% Success Without College. It serves as an encyclopedia for career training opportunities that are available outside of the college arena, because college is of no value to 85% of our nation's workforce. Bruce is married to his sweetheart, Pam, and together they have 5 children and 8 grandchildren. Bruce, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. Appreciate your time.
So first, can you give us, add on to what I just said there, give us a little bit of a background of yourself and how you came to become a writer?
Well, through my high school experience, I was a very poor writer because I didn't know grammar. I just couldn't understand it. And I first applied to Cal Poly University, and I got a hold of a teacher, Dr. Kaplan, who teaches English 101. And I begged her to allow me to add her class because it was all filled. I says, if I don't have your class, I'm going to be destroyed in all the other classes because I got to learn to write well. So she snuck me in. Long story short, she got me into the class. My first paper that was graded, it looked like, John, a chicken had run across it with red ink. It was just a mess. But she had up at the top, she had this little note. She says, Bruce, come see me now. So
Wow.
I went to her office when the class was over, and she said, Bruce, you've got talent for writing. You just don't know the laws of grammar. You don't know how to construct a sentence appropriately. So she got me hooked onto English, John. And after that, I just drank it in because language is such a powerful tool. You think of the most important inventions that have ever been created. And I will contend with you that the most important one was the alphabet. And the second one was the printing press, because without both of them, we would not have the ability to communicate, and we would not have the ability to instruct well. We'd have monks writing training programs for algebra over and over again if we didn't have the printing press. So language is a wonderful tool, and that's what I got into. And I use it quite often. Matter of fact, my pen name is Joshua Twain, Mark Twain being my favorite author.
Good. Good. So tell us a little bit about, I guess you have both of your books.
Yeah, let me start off with the official snipe hunting field guide. I'm going to put that right up there. Now, this is a little master snipe hunter patch on the front of the cover. For those of you who don't know what snipe hunting is, it's basically it's an old tradition started back in the Civil War where you hold open a gunny sack and you put a candle next to it and you whistle or you click sticks together and the snipe will run into the bag. Of course, you don't really explain what a snipe is because they don't exist. But it was to basically get the greenhorn of the group out there in the woods, trying to get these snipe into the bag. And while they're hearing this snipe whistle or this sticking going on, they're having a fun time drinking beers around the campfire and just having a great time. Well, I wrote a lot on politics and education through my college arena, and I got burnt out. So I said, I remember my days of scouting and my snipe hunting and how I got snookered into it. And I thought to myself, had anybody written the official way to hunt up snipe? So I did a search, and lo and behold, nobody had. Now, that's the thing I would suggest to your audience, John, is that you've really got to find a unique subject, because just about everything on the earth has been written right now. But if you notice, this is the official snipe hunting field guide. Nobody had written on this subject. Also, if you notice, I have a product with the book, an actual snipe hunting guide. This got into Boy Scout scouting offices, and to national parks everywhere. And I'd get letters all over the world, that the troop was the official snipe hunting patrol. And they just put it on, their patches and everything else, and it was a great thing. But it was a product that people wanted and enjoyed and got a smile over. I also included in the book an official snipe hunting tag. So, interstate snipe hunting tag, $1. Everything to basically put a little bit of zeal into it. I had little handwritten artwork and so forth all through it, just to give it a lot more pizzazz. And then my logo was basically my home back in Utah. It was a 3-story Utah historical landmark. That was my logo. And then I had a little brief overview of what's going on in the book. For example, romance. Here's a quote. One could compare their procreative maneuvering to the explosion of a single popcorn kernel in a microwave oven. Ping, and it's all over and on to other things. So it's just a little fun little thing, the book. And I sold, oh my goodness, about 50,000 of these books.
Wow.
Self-published it, but I got a distributor. Some of your audience might not understand that there's self-publishing, there's publishers, and then you self-publish and you find a distributor who will actually has contacts to bookstores and so forth. Right. This was for the invention of the internet. I'm dating myself, but I couldn't sell this over the internet. But it did very well in all kinds of bookstores and hunting shops and so forth. So that was my first experience with the snipe hunting field guide. It went ballistic. And it kind of died down when the scouts basically said they had to cut back on what might be perceived as hazing. So that pretty much ended that.
Wow. Okay. Well, congrats.
And then my second book is called 100% Success Without College. And the subtitle is How Your Kids Can Be Financially Independent by the Age of 22. And if you notice the book, it's pretty impressive. It's got that huge exclamation mark there. Yeah. It people's eyes, and I get it all the time when I go to trade shows, to homeschoolings and so forth. But there's the book. It's quite large. It's over 280 pages long. This was self-published too. This is the back of the book. Notice the artwork. You can get that on any company that provides stock photographies. I use DreamWorks. Dreamstime. They're very good. It's very inexpensive, about $15 a photo, and you look extremely professional when you use this kind of cover work. And so basically the back is my advertisement. When I would do trade shows, I'd say, if you really want to learn a lot, just read this first paragraph. It'll tell you the breadth of the book and its foundation. This gave me time to talk to other people at the same time. So while one is reading, I'm working with another, and on it goes. But yeah, I self-published this book. I first did it in color, which was a mistake because color is so expensive.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd be kind of unique. Also, what I did through the book is I did want this to be looking like a tech book, very technical.
Right.
I wanted it to be fun, so I put in little kind of inspirational quotes on the bottom with photographs in there. And again, I got these photographs from Dreamstime. And like, here's a quote: each and every day I will, 1, get up, 2, gather myself together, 3, then wow humanity beyond belief. Now for homeschoolers and for young kids and everything else, that's pretty fun. And it gives them a way of thinking differently. So everything I did with this book was try to create an atmosphere that somebody would come along and say, I want to have this book in my hands.
Right.
That's basically what I did. I got a great editor. I'm going to recommend all the time. You think you can see yourself, you cannot do it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, John, there are things where I read this book, just paragraphs, 4 or 5 times, and I think, perfect, my editor is going to say a word. Boom, 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 boom. It's a mess.
Yeah.
But they catch it because the axiom is true. You can't see what you've written. The mistakes, you just can't see them because your mind is saying exactly what you think is there,
Right.
or seeing what you think is there, and it's
Yeah.
not there.
That's what really, I believe, at the beginning gave self-publishing its, I guess, its stigma, right? Everyone thought because you could just write a book and throw it up as an ebook online, um, that you're a published author, but then that would be poor quality and it would be known fairly early on in the reading process. So I'm glad that you got an editor and that you are
Oh
having
yeah,
benefits.
yeah, and it cost me. I'll be upfront. It cost me about $1,000 to have that done.
Yeah, but
But
well
I
worth it.
wanted to be this a professional book.
Right.
And then before I did it, I made sure that I had all the connections to basically promote the book. And that was so key. And what I did was basically get a PR officer who knew a lot of contacts to my particular audience, which was conservatives and which was homeschoolers. And they created up podcasts. If you go to my website at anythingbutcollege.com, I have up at the upper right-hand side interviews. And that's so key if you're doing a book that is, you want credibility, that's
Right.
neat. I post those on there. So I've got about 20 interviews, podcasts, or radio opportunities. And really, it's free advertisement. My PR director, it cost me there. But this is a time when you get to advertise for about 20 minutes to half an hour to an hour. I've had a lot of them or an hour because we get into the topic of why not go to college and what are the opportunities outside of college. And people are just fascinated to find out, hey, do you realize that there's a trade school to learn how to become a professional baseball umpire? Maybe you've got a son that loves the game, he eats and drinks and dies for it, but he can't play the game professionally because he's just not good enough. But he could still be part of the game as a professional umpire. Well, he can't be if he doesn't know the opportunity exists. So I'm here saying, yeah, it's there. Explore the world out there because, John, the typical university offers only around 86 majors, 86 careers, but there are over 12,000 careers out there.
Wow.
So explore them all before you get stuck on Harvard only offers 58 degrees. That's it. You've got 50. So this is the power of the book. Understand, nobody has written on the snipe hunting guide. Nobody how to hunt snipe. And nobody has connected both sides of the story of why you shouldn't go to college and what do you do if you don't go to college. There's no book out there like it. And that's the key, I would say to your audience, is you really got to be unique.
Yeah. Yeah, unique. You have to be niche for sure. You have to have a niche market.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have two of them. So, one question that I have for you. So, both of your books, you went the self-publishing route. When it seemed like, especially with the Snipe Field Guide, 50,000 book sales. I mean, you could have went with a traditional publisher, and they would have been happy to hear those numbers. What, especially back before the internet, what made you choose self-publishing over going the traditional route?
Well, it's basically the homework. One is how do you convince a publisher to do such a thing in the first place? So I basically had to prove myself. Now, that being said, towards the end of the run of the book, Gibbs Smith picked it up and they packaged it with a gunny sack as well. So there was that opportunity, but they didn't sell nearly as many as I did because basically the scouting shops and everything else, it had a shelf life of only about 2 or 3 years. And then by the end of that third year, they picked it up. But it was basically to prove that I had a product, that it will work, and I don't really need you. Because I found the distributors, I knew my audience again and where to do it for. I even checked with them before I went out there. I went to scouting shops and I says, look at this unique patch and so forth. made a mock-up of the book, and they loved it. Pre-orders all over the place. And matter of fact, there's a town in Canada, of all places, I can't remember the name, but they have a bronze statue of a boy holding up, in the center of the town, of a boy holding up a lantern and another boy holding up a snipe, because they were sent on a snipe hunt, and they found this valley, and they said, we're going to move here and make our home here and raise our family here. And there was nothing there, just a big open field. That's how they were founded. The town went nuts over the book. So yeah, and not only that, when you publish with a publisher, guess what? Instead of making $6 or $7 a book with a snipe hunting field guide, you're making $1, maybe 90 cents at best. Right. It's horrible. All of this work you did and all the sales you're making, and it's just, there's nothing there for you. And I'm staying far away from Amazon. Now, there's going to be a lot who say, you're nuts, Bruce. But I'm telling you, it's the same as a publisher. If your book is over $9, you only make so much. If your book is under $9, you only make so much. And each time that not so much is not so much. So if you do your homework and you get all the connections right, and you write a book that's powerful and it hasn't been done before, you're not competing against big names, you can do extremely well.
Yeah, that last point you make is big. Like you were saying earlier with having kind of like a niche book, something that hasn't been written on too much.
Absolutely.
And
so many. Oh, go ahead.
No, you.
So many friends of mine tell me how they want to write a book about positive thinking or something to that extent.
Right.
And I says, do you know how many professional guys out there who are multimillionaires, who have written books on this subject, and they've got all the connections to all the advertising sources from podcasts and newsworks and everything? Why are you going to be any better? It's so hard. And so I say, you've got to, you may have that in your heart and in your soul, but heart and soul also has to bring along with it what's called reality.
Right.
And what is the reality of the situation? That's what you got to focus on.
Yeah, good. So a question that I have for you, right, and for the listeners who are looking into self-publishing, one thing that you mentioned is getting a PR strategy, press release or public relations company. This was back before, like you said, before the internet, before Amazon, before everything was online. What were the benefits then of having a PR strategy? And do you still suggest it today, going out on your own and getting a PR campaign?
Well, absolutely. Now, the snipe hunting book had zero PR whatsoever because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just a kid out of high school, out of college. And I wrote this on a whim and it just went nuts. And I didn't really need PR. It went from bookstore to bookstore to bookstore and it just went everywhere.
Unicorn.
So I was lucky. I mean, who would have ever thunk it? A snipe hunting guide. Now, nowadays, there are what I would call basically PR companies who will set you up with podcasters or news companies or radio stations. And those are wonderful. And I would highly recommend it. Now, I would suggest that you've got to basically be careful because some of these PR people will get you connected with podcasters who only have 8 listeners. You're paying for that. And you've got to have a focus of your audience. If you're going, see, I knew who my audience was. And so I said, I need to have this podcaster and this podcaster and this podcaster. You've got to know the podcasters you want. You've got to spring it on them right in the beginning and say, I need these guys. And if I don't get them, and if you say you can't get them, I need to look elsewhere. So you've really got to know your market. You've got to know it. And I've also done some advertising through homeschooling sites. And that was great because this is for homeschoolers. This is saying to mom, you've just now got your kid wonderfully trained. knows how to read well, write well, and speak well, and you kept them out of the public education system because they weren't getting a good education, why on earth would you then turn around and have their life destroyed at a college university where they come out and they lose their faith, they lose their love for country, they come out with a massive debt, and they have no skills? And so speaking to that audience, that homeschooling audience is huge for me. I'll be speaking at a homeschooling conference here in July next month. So yeah,
Excellent.
PR groups got to know what they're doing, and you've got to know what they know. They need to know what you want. You don't let them define the terms, you define the terms.
Has the book allowed you to gain speaking engagements?
Oh yes, I've got 3 or 4 of them just on the horizon, and more are coming out. Now, I'm not being paid for these speaking engagements. Now, I do, matter of fact, have a couple of individuals who said, hey, we can get paid opportunities for you, and we're going to be speaking next week. But yes, it gives me the opportunity, and I don't care, because even if I fly out and I'm speaking to 1,000 people, I'm sure that of that group, because they're my group that I want to talk to, 200 of them are going to purchase the book.
Right. Yeah, that's good. All right, Bruce, when it comes to self-publishing, what other advice do you have for the listeners?
Well, of course, you've got to find a good self-publishing publishing house. It's very good. And do your homework. You know, there's a lot of them out there, and I finally came up with docu-copies. They were the very best priced, and they do all sizes, and they're very good. Their service, customer service is just outstanding. So they're very professional in what they do. But again, that's key to your publishing, is getting a publisher who's got a great press and great prices. So that's it. And then I'm going to emphasize for the third or fourth time, you've got to be unique. And it's very simple. Maybe creating a product that you add to the book. And you could ouch, that wasn't good. Staple got me. But you could, well, for example, let me see if I can see it real quick. Oh, I don't know, my friend. Here it is. Here's what's called positive attitude. And it's a definition of what positive attitude is. It's really cute. You know, it's just got a lot of little things in there. But instead of just printing it in there, you can actually print it on a postcard and slip it into the book and have it stapled to it or something connected. But you said, here's something that's going to really make your day. You give some uniqueness to your book.
Yeah.
Your uniqueness is, hey, nobody's written on this subject in the country. And I did a search and nobody has. There are a ton of books of saying, you need to stay out of college, and this is the reason why. But it's like Mike Rowe. Have you heard of Mike Rowe of Dirty Jobs?
Yes.
Well, he always tells all the parents, get your kids out of college. It's of no value. Keep away from it. It's horrible. And your kids can make a fortune doing roofs. By the way, I had a roofer come here to look at one portion of our roof, and he says, it's just fine. But I asked him, I says, can a young man or a young woman make a great living as a roofer? He said, you're talking to him. I said, tell me more. He says, I have been roofing for 9 years. I now own a home that's worth $2.4 million paid for. And he doesn't even have a high school degree. And this is the story of my book. It's saying to mom and dad, you've been lied to that college is the only route to success in this country. Or this huge lie that a college graduate is going to make in his lifetime X amount more than the high school graduate or the trade school graduate. It's a simple lie. I have in here a section called sales. That's the #1 paid profession in the world, is sales. It beats out doctors and lawyers and all these people who go to college. So sales is huge. So everything in this book is so unique that when people say that, they go, aha, now I get it. So unique, 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 unique. And other than that, you've got to be an excellent writer, and you've got to have an excellent topic, and then you've got to pay for somebody to edit it correctly. And then before you do it, you got to talk to a lot of individuals like I did to see if anybody would even be interested in what you have to write.
Right.
That's my kind of for what it's worth.
Right. Well, valuable information. So, Bruce, where can people find you and get their hands on your books?
Well, the official snipe hunting field guide is out of print. I have found it on Google for as much as $500 as a
Wow.
as an antique book. The 100% Success Without College can be found at this is key. This is another thing I do when I go anywhere. Look at this. This is my web address, anythingbutcollege.com. Anythingbutcollege.com. It tells the story, doesn't it?
Yes.
You're going, what the heck is that? And people come up to me, what are you talking about, anythingbutcollege.com? So your URL has got to match your book just like that. And I have it on the back. And when I go to conferences and I want to walk around, there's a billboard right there.
Yeah.
But there's the message, anythingbutcollege.com. That's my website.
That's a great
you
title.
Go there, and it's professionally done as well. It's got chapter headings. It has quotes from the book. It has a video, a 2-minute video that's absolutely darting. I've got this British guy. He sounds so, well, I can't do it. My voice is so wimpy, but his is so powerful. And there's a lot of features to the book that basically says, I really want this book. And by the way, I do it PDF for those who want to instantly download it. And I do it softbound. Okay. And the PDF is $20. The softbound is $30 plus shipping. And by the way, everybody remember, if you're shipping out your books, remember to tell this post office media rate. Media rate gives you a huge discount on shipping your book. If you ship it normally through first class, it's going to be about whatever the size of the weight, anywhere from $2 to maybe $20 more. Media rate, this book, 278 pages, 8.5 by 11, ships for $3.80 across the country. Media rate.
Wow. Excellent. Well, Bruce, this has been an excellent conversation. Congrats on the success of both of your books. I appreciate all the advice that you have shared with the listeners. We wish you the best of luck with your upcoming speaking engagements. Again, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. I wish you the very best.
Thank you. You too.